one. Good. All right. Board of Aldermen work session is now called to order. First item on the agenda is a follow-up discussion on alternative delivery methods. I'm echoing. It's echoing.
Okay, it's on. So good evening, Chuck Souls, Public Works Director. At the November 18th meeting, we had discussed some alternative project delivery methods with the board. Just to run through that really quick, as I mentioned at that meeting, we've had experienced several challenges delivering large capital project and infrastructure projects over the last few years. We've had project schedule delays and equipment procurement delays and issues. In fact, right now we're still a year out on 144th Street to get the generator. So we will probably have to extend that contract. Okay. Low bid contractors lacking the capacity or the resources to perform. We've just seen that a couple times here recently. And we have unforeseen site conditions that result in change orders, which I always bring up to you guys. And we've got one this evening on the regular agenda. So to improve predictability and performance, we've reviewed alternative project delivery methods as a potential for some of the larger projects and more complex projects. Typically, as you're all aware, we typically use design bid build. We hire an engineer, they design the project basically in a bubble. And then we bid it out and we take the low bid. And then, we're subject to all these other issues that I just explained. We're hoping that alternative delivery methods integrate the design and construction process where we bring the contractor on early on, sit down with the engineer and the city, and we talk about and we come up with the best solutions. The contractors have a lot of resources available to them and they've got a lot of experience and they, water plants, wastewater plants, although we think we're all unique, they're all pretty much the same. And they deal with these issues in every community that they serve. And they go into work and they run into the same, issues everywhere. And so the contractors know these things over and over again. So we're hoping that through that collaboration that we can improve schedule and manage costs better. So we've done further investigation and we've talked to several firms and stuff and on all the different delivery methods, and we've consulted with Patrick and his firm. And we've identified a couple projects that we'd like the board to consider using alternative delivery methods, the wastewater treatment plant expansion and then the Smiths Fork complex. I'm going to go ahead and talk about the wastewater treatment plant and then I'm going to hand it over to Matt and he can talk about his projects. So the wastewater treatment plant expansion, we have in the CIP and Matt's got money as well to start design processes and construction potentially in 27 for the wastewater treatment plant. We're looking at a new SBR, some improvements to the UV disinfection and electrical upgrades. It's running upwards of $7 million for that project. We need it. We need the plant capacity. We're right at our limit. So we need to have that. For this project, we're going to recommend the CMAR delivery method. And CMAR stands for Construction Manager at Risk. That's what that stands for. And basically, the CMAR is the contractor. But the way the process would start is we select an engineer and we do about 20 to 30% design. And then we do an RFQ for a CMAR or contractor. The 20 to 30% design will give the contractor enough information that he knows what he's getting into and can come to the city and present a project for us. After we select the CMAR or the contractor, we would sit down with the engineer, the contractor, and myself, or the public works director, and we'd start reviewing the constructability issues, what materials to use, schedule, and costs. And we'd come up with the project that will work for all of us, and we'd know. Then the CMAR would go out and they'd bid basically different packages, electrical packages, mechanical packages, civil packages. All those bids are open for us to look at, but the CMAR would come to us with a guaranteed maximum price. If we proceed this way, the contractor basically assumes the risk for construction performance by providing that price and managing the project. We hope that the advantages would be early collaboration between the owner, contractor, and engineer, that we get the project we want. I wouldn't have to come back to you every couple months and say, I need some more money. We found asbestos in the filter. And by the way, that is all done. I don't have the final results, for all the treated water, but all the tests that we ran until it was completed have come back non-detect. So we're just waiting on the test results, and we expect it to be non-detect. But that's all done. They're finishing the final filter, and we're expecting end of this month, we'll be done with the project pretty much at the water treatment plant. We hope that this will improve cost control and schedule. So with CMAR, we have some of these big pumps, we have these generators. We can go out for bid. Well, the CMAR, the contractor, can get bids early on, even before the design is complete. If we know we need a generator, if it was a pump station, he could get that coming a year before we even start construction, because he would have the information available and he'd be able to do that. And then maybe by the time the pumps came on, we'd have the generator available. And then hopefully the goals of the city and the engineer and the contractor all align, bringing us a better project. And so basically that's the idea or intent behind this. And we will need a future action of the board, if this is the direction you want to go, to declare the alternative delivery method that we decide to select. And I'm going to let Matt talk about Smith Fork Park.
Thank you. Yeah, so I'll give a quick background on Smiths Fork Park project. So in our Parks and Rec master plan that we approved in 2021 was to look at park improvements, and one of those was Smiths Fork Park, which was key in the transition for Heritage Park as we make that kind of a transition into a community hubs. And so the Smiths Fork project is adding 4 ball fields and some parking out at Smiths Fork Park. And we talked back in May of 25 about splitting up some of the budget that was put in 2027 for engineering and design. We split that up to earlier look into the planning and updated cost estimates, because looking at other projects that were in the area that had recently done similar projects, the cost was looking a lot higher than what we were predicted in our CIP in the Parks and Stormwater sales tax. So with Chuck and Cynthia, we looked at different alternative methods. And for this project in particular, it seemed that one of the options for us would be looking at an owner's representation. And so some background into what that is an owner's rep does not perform construction work, but instead provides independent expertise to assist staff in navigating project delivery options and evaluating the most appropriate path forward. This includes guidance related to cost estimating, scheduling, constructability, risk management, as well as assisting with procurement processes and RFPs and RFQs that may go that way. They act in collaboration with us and help protect the city's best interest through the life of the project. We can keep them on as best as possible. We feel like this is an option we're recommending for this project. One, due to the uniqueness of it, of how much cost we're going to have when it comes to 2028 and what we're expecting the cost to be. So working with someone, an owner's rep who's done multiple of these projects before, when it comes to the sports field construction process, no one on staff currently has gone through that yet. They have the research and backing to help ease our minds, your minds, my mind, Cynthia's mind, as we go through this project. And so again, we're recommending to go with the owner's representation that will assist with the development of the project and help with the estimate and RFQ process.
So Matt, if any of the firms we've worked with in the past expressed interest in doing that or have expertise in
we met
performing
with
that?
one owner's representation group, but that is not final. We would probably put that out for invitation to bid and go through an interview process and select one that we think would be best fit for this project.
Sort of whoever the group who did our Parks Master Plan, did they do they offer that kind of service or any of the playground equipment? Okay. So this would be a brand new contractor or brand new firm. Okay.
And then they would ultimately point us in the right direction of going through a CMAR, similar to what Chuck is recommending for his project. Or there are construction teams out there who are full turnkey process who can do design build all in one. But this would have that second set of eyes on there of someone who's been through that process before.
Did Carney use that for their pickleball or Liberty for any of their recent projects or?
Liberty is used, they haven't gone owner's rep, but they did work with a construction team that did full turnkey process that for the renovation. Now, when they did the original design way back then, they did your typical design bid build.
Okay.
Um,
Cool.
Yeah.
And this would be a question for you, Matt, since you're up there, and then I have one for Chuck. This certainly seems like a reasonable approach. I suspect when we go owner's rep and even ZMAR, that the contractors are going to be, they're going to put the pencil, sharpen the pencil and make sure their numbers are accurate to where I think the way we've been going now through cost of materials and different things, we have change orders along the way. Do you feel comfortable with this owner's rep approach for Smith Fork?
Yeah, and we've had multiple conversations, just Cynthia and Chuck and I, on the best process, and it seems that through the complexity of the project with the different materials, design to construction, having someone who can back the research into what they've done before in the project and making sure the cost is, the price is where it should be and not exonerated or going with, a high, someone who they only work with and not the different options that are out there, if that makes sense on that side of things.
Yeah, they're experienced. They know what they're looking for.
Yeah.
If I may comment as well, so in addition to that, kind of knowing the way things go, it's also kind of like when you're building a house, you're looking at different level of finishes and they know what the going price of some of those are. But then also, okay, you may not really need this upgrade. So I would go with base on this because this was what we're seeing. This is the way this plays out in sports complex around the area. It may be something that in some climates you may need something, may not. And we would recommend that you focus your resources on this because you're maybe not looking at it. There's an experience that we've not had and they've done it more frequently. So know those trends that are occurring.
And for your CMAR question, it's exactly that, bringing them on at the 20 to 30% portion of that project helps make sure the material, the design in general is meeting construction standards. That way we're not coming back later on with different changes.
Well, I'm comfortable with that portion of it for Smith Fork. Again, I just have a question or two, but I want to make sure the rest of the board, if they have any more questions for Matt, but.
Anything for Matt? Chuck, it's all you, man.
So just want to make sure people understand, the owner's rep's kind of an extension of the staff, okay? The owner's rep will come, sit down with Matt, his park board, the board, whatever we want, find out what we want as a complex, get all that worked out. And then we will still go to either a design build, CMAR type process. So, but the owner's rep is kind of an extension of staff. Just, we haven't had that experience. I mean, in Lawrence, I know even just ball field lighting is a huge issue. If you want to have, competitive, you gotta have a certain level of lighting. If it's just rec, then it's a certain huge price difference. So, have somebody that would have that knowledge and experience of park projects. Turf, no turf, watering, grass, golf course grass is a huge issue. I can't imagine ball field grass being any different. It's gotta be durable, it's gotta be, it's gotta be for this climate. So having somebody that has that experience I think be more like an extension of staff. You'll still go through the design build or the CMAR process.
I
Yep,
think it'll save us money in the long run.
go for it.
So, and if this isn't relevant, I apologize, but I know the school is getting ready to do everything that they're doing to their ballparks. Have we talked to them to like kind of just get an idea?
So yeah, I reached out to the school for that same question on the process they did, and I talked with Dr. Collins, and hopefully he's okay with me telling that I talked to him, but they went through the typical design bid build process, but they recommended that if they could have done something different, they would have, because just of not having, they had the same thing that Chuck just mentioned. They had architects that did the project first, and then they went to the construction, and then they ran into problems. And so they recommended that if they could do it differently, they would.
And I'm
So,
sure on ball fields for anything that's sports related for the school, they've got mission guidelines too that they have to follow. So it's
right.
it's different
Yeah,
for
they
most.
ran into the same issue on the middle school field too, with different contractors. I mean,
Yeah.
I think Chuck has really nailed it, that the quicker you can get a contractor into the architect design phase, the better.
Oh, I know the price per square foot on a baseball field can vary, right, Dan?
If that's where they go, there's also, like I said, there's companies that do design build, all in-house too, and they've been through many of the same projects, and so we had conversation with those groups as well, so, but yeah.
I don't think we can
That's where
afford-
this Conversation happened.
Yeah, I don't think we can afford true competition fields.
So, Mayor, if
Yeah, go for it.
Chuck, yeah, I think this is a no-brainer. I'd be interested to see what other cities have used this and the success of it. Again, thinking out loud here, going with the CMAR process, just because we're gonna have some engineering and we're gonna hold the feet to the fire to accountability for the contractors. I know things happen, prices change, labor rates change a lot, but boy, it'd sure be nice not to get whacked on site with change orders. And I'm not saying that wouldn't happen, but I would sure hope that it would eliminate it. So
But minimize it
I'm
for sure.
for it. I mean,
There's
yeah.
no guarantees, but I mean, that's the goal, and the contractors, I mean, we even talked with Ross after we found this asbestos piping. Um, and he had a similar instance. I can't remember if it was Grandview or he just had a similar instance with another plant that was built in the 70s, same thing. So he knew how to fix it, but it wasn't in the bid. So it wasn't asked to be in the bid. And that's something he might have brought up, just knowing his experience. And then we could maybe investigated it more or assumed it was there. So
Mayor,
For Chuck or Matt?
just in general,
Oh, okay.
with both presentations, not a question. All I'm going to say is I think at this point, we really need to trust staff with the research you have done in bringing these recommendations to us. That's all I'm going to say.
Thank you. And Matt, just make sure that whatever lighting we do at Smith's Fork, there's not conduit everywhere because it's looking pretty bad. I was out there yesterday watching the Eagles, and you start looking up at Smith's Fork, and the old telephone poles are looking a little shabby. So yeah, to Chuck's point, make sure it's durable and it lasts. And Leah's part of the Parks Board, so we've had these conversations. We're probably not going to build a competition level baseball facility because we don't have competition level hotels and restaurants and all the other things it takes to support that kind of facility. The one in Omaha I went to, the complex was ridiculous, and we're not going to be there. But just to fill the gap for practice and t-ball and all that stuff,
The one owners group we talked to, we would still go through all the processes we do for our projects as community input, multiple
Yeah.
meetings with Parks and Rec committee that's open to the public that go over designs. It's very, very, very similar to the process we did for the Emma Ridge Park design. Is we worked with different groups. They brought multiple designs to the Parks and Rec committee. Parks and Rec committee, redesigned it, reworked it, put the recommendation in that they've heard from their peers. We did public comment and eventually brought that recommendation to the board for final approval. So very similar to that process, just on a much, much larger scale, and it's going to be unique with budget.
it's 200-acre park versus a quarter-acre park, right?
Right, yeah.
Unlike the luxury Diamond Crest Park. What's that?
Mayor, I just.
Price per square foot on that one's look.
I, I appreciate Alderman Wilson's comment on the fact that we gotta trust staff. We absolutely need to do that. And I think we put a dynamic product out at Emerald Ridge, and I think we'll do the same. Because that's really what it's about, right? It'd be nice to have all those things, but I think the Parks Board has already made that recommendation and concur. We're not gonna be able to do a competitive level, but boy, to have nice places for people to go and play and restroom facilities and I mean, that's what it's about
Yep.
for our citizens.
Yeah, the layout right now just is kind of very unusable.
Wonky
Yeah,
for technical terms.
it's a hike to, some of the fields and some are real close and not ADA accessible at all. So, cool.
So with boards, I'm assuming concurrence,
Yep.
we'll move forward this way. We'll
Mhm.
bring back the appropriate, we'll work with Patrick and bring back the appropriate resolutions to designate those two projects as alternative delivery.
Mhm.
Okay.
Sounds great. Thanks. Mark grants.
Yay.
Yay. You got slides? I need to take these with me next week.
We can just stay on the first one. Oh, I don't know. Good evening.
Ooh, Platte City colors, sorry. Or change that.
Just black and.
Orange.
In orange. Whoosh.
Okay, so over the past couple of years, the city has been very successful, fairly successful, I would say very successful, in receiving grant funding for multiple projects. So most of these grants have come through MARC, the Mid-American Regional Council. And the memo we provided includes a summary of all the projects we've gotten in the past couple of years. Some include streetscape, Main Street Trail, 144th Street, lift station, commercial street sidewalk, river walk that's coming next year. We have Second Creek, and we have more for the next couple of years as well. I'm here today because the MARC grant application is going to open again next month. And we have some projects that we would like to propose, recommend, and see if we should, if you agree that we should submit them for grant applications. So I'll describe 3 projects. The project number 1 is Streetscape Phase 4. This one, so my picture on the left side shows where we already have the streetscape theme. Okay. If you click one more time, if you go through Main Street, almost like by Liberty, we have something we call a streetscape light, which is less brick, but still you have the feel of a streetscape, the lights, the sidewalk. So we are proposing to do that to, be more conservative with the budget. Now for this project, we also have 2 options. Okay. So option 1 will be completing the streetscape theme, streetscape light along Commercial Avenue from Church Street to Meadows. Option 1. Option 2 could be Church Street and Smith Street from Bridge Street to Main Street.
My only problem with doing option 2 before doing option 1 is we're gonna have a hole right in the middle that looks old, and it's our park and our bathroom.
Yes.
Mhm.
And it creates because that bathroom's got ADA issues without fixing that, right, Matt? Because you can't go from the church this way, right? I mean, just leave a hole right there in the middle if undone.
Could be phase 5.
Yeah, I'd rather do that one first.
Okay.
But from a stormwater and underground perspective, what's priority, right? Like, how are the stormwater boxes through on commercial and utilities and whatnot versus that other street? Because we probably have to tie something in to church, right? Yeah, GIS, right? Yeah, look at the GIS.
We'll have to look at that a little deeper, but
So I'm guessing when you start getting into church, we might have to, do we have sewer line running down church? Is there a sewer line running down the middle of church, so we'd have to like slip line or anything or fix?
We are done with the downtown area.
Okay.
Yeah, so,
That was done, yeah.
and also we have already the storm drain.
Yeah, I don't think,
That is-
I think on option one, you've got less connections and all that service lines and all that stuff to deal with than you do on that. Cause connecting in those duplexes and stuff, we're probably gonna have to wanna go through and make sure all that's clean before we,
Mhm.
we don't want one of those that'll leak as soon as we put the road down and have to
True.
have a sinkhole. So if we're gonna do option two, I wanna make sure we check all those service lines for all those residential as well to make sure that they're solid before we start.
There are definitely more utilities on the way for.
Yeah, that corner, right, like the straightaway, I'm not as worried about because that's a lot of parking lot and grass, but that, once you turn that corner, it's all duplexes.
Them, check, so if we.
Anybody else have any other?
I think option one is better for our,
I do
like,
too.
just to finish, like you said, where most of our events are around the square, like, my personal
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
But doing light on both of them is fine.
mine was gonna present like 4 projects. We're only asking you guys.
Yeah.
So this is fine if this is the one you wanna
No,
pick. I mean.
I'm just saying that
It's out of
I
option,
wouldn't
option
do-
two, I think option one.
if we're doing
would be
anything
higher up.
downtown because it's separate funding, I wouldn't want to touch that until we finish the
Okay.
other piece.
Perfect. Okay, so streetscape phase 4, option 1, the next project will be, Eagle Parkway Trail. We actually already submitted this project, but it didn't get funding in the previous round. But we got 2 other projects, so, I mean, if we were to submit it again, we can put up our application and.
I think Matt and Chuck need to work with John Davis in the county and get that. They really want the trail connected. They were gonna go across the golf course. The development in the Brown area is gonna cover half of it already, right? So we just need the Baines Bridge to 180th piece taken care of, which is a lot of stormwater issues over there, right, Jack? The guy that came in a few times on the west side of the road, the pretty big ditch. I mean, if we could work with the county on that one,
Yeah, so Mayor, so when we submitted this last year, Chuck Meyer and I, we actually sat down with John Davis and spoke with him. He is in favor and wrote 2 letters for us in favor of this. Since then, though, they have started their Parks and Rec
Right.
master plan that is going to be fairly new to this process. So, but he is aware of this and has wrote letters in
yeah, because
favor.
they've got trail on north and south of that. We've got trail on, we'll have trail north and south of that. This is a great opportunity for us to work together, and it's old right away, so we have plenty of room to work. with.
Yeah, and you'll see, this is, what you see on the screen is phase 1, and then
Yep.
Yeah,
she's got some more.
yeah.
The phase 2 will go to on the north side, go east and connect all the way to the lake.
Yeah, and I'm not as worried about that one just because there's no traffic on that road. It's not a through street. And the school district covered their piece of it already. If there's more, if that guy, if anybody ever comes back in to develop that one piece, they're gonna be on the hook for everything from the school east. So I don't know that I'd even try to submit that one. But
There is going to be, Jack has worked with the developer there. Am I getting ahead of you?
Yeah, I was
yeah,
like,
it's fine.
yeah, Public Connect extension, yeah, it would be really nice for Smithville to have another east-west connection at some point, and fix that intersection with a roundabout, which is in the transportation master plan as well. This will be the 3rd project we're proposing to consider.
Yeah.
We also already submitted this one. Because of the traffic that it gets.
The
or,
Pope Lane
you know,
one?
that
Yeah.
people.
The Pope Lane one? Pope Lane?
Pope Lane.
Okay.
Yeah.
It didn't get a lot, it didn't score that as well as, Eagle Parkway Trail.
Yeah, I think this one's one we probably can try to get through eventually, but I think it's more something we can get through with Graves's office easier. And then if there's development going on there with the Greyhawk coming south eventually, and then if the school develops there. I think we could work with their contractors if they decided to, work there to get part of it done.
Okay, so,
wait.
those are the three projects.
Hold on. So does this board want us to work on submitting phase one on commercial, or I guess it's phase four
Phase four.
on commercial?
Yep.
No on option one, no on the 180th trail, and no on Pope Lane.
I would submit the trail if you can, if there's a, I think it might fit in ATP or one of those.
Yeah.
I would submit it under something like that.
Okay.
That others might not be submitting under because of this current.
What would be really cool, and we'll have to talk to the county about it, is if we could submit a joint application.
Yeah, I'd rather us, since they're going
If we could
through,
submit a joint
Yeah.
application, I think that would be great.
especially since they're going through their master plan right now, and that's when they need the connection in the Gulf. They're going across the Neth Farm's not gonna develop in the next 5-10 years, so
Okay.
we have right away there. They've got materials and machinery, like, they've got a lot of gravel piled up they could use.
So just an FYI, this is for fiscal year 29 and 30, so
Yeah,
that
it's a ways out, it's a ways
That's
out,
a ways out,
yeah.
so.
And Pope, I'd continue to work on with the highway and other stuff, because it's,
Okay,
So what we're gonna do next is we're gonna provide additional details on those two projects, and put some information on the website so that residents can provide comments.
Yep.
Because part of the application is also public involvement, so we wanna do something different this time.
sounds good.
Okay, sounds good.
Anybody else have any other
Oh.
counter opinions to
No.
that? I mean, no. You fix 92. Again. Without shutting down traffic in any way, or yeah. Can Amazon deliver a road yet, so we can just not deal with construction? Yeah, by drone. Done. Bridges, can they just drop those off? Speaking of roads and stormwater,
The Dundee Road Improvements Project. This project was identified in the stormwater needs assessment that GBA did a couple of years ago. And the project is there because when it rains a lot, the road floods and there is no curb and gutter, so the water goes into people's driveways and houses. So the initial scope was, well, let's add curb and gutter, solve this issue. The city hired BG consultant, and after we actually started evaluating and assessing the situation on site, we discovered that the road sits higher than the driveways. So if we were to add curb and gutter, in some houses, we make this storm drainage issue even worse. So the initial scope was curb and gutter and mill and overlay. The estimate for that, the cost estimate was about $650,000. Now, as I mentioned, the road is sitting higher, so to fix it the right way, we'll have to reconstruct the road, regrade it, and make it lower so that the driveways will drain onto the street. This change is obviously more expensive, and it will be about $850,000. The city budgeted about $300,000 in this fiscal year, 2026. So what we are thinking is, we are proposing that maybe we should do with full reconstruction of the road to address the issue, like long-term and forever. We don't have the funds this year. Maybe we should push this project for next year, use the available funds to do engineering for the road. Also utilities, sewer was slip line. Is to be confirmed, but we believe it's in good shape. The water line is old. It's an 4-inch iron cast, so we should probably go ahead and replace that. That's gonna be about $100,000 that will come from the combined water and wastewater fund. But back to the improvements for the stormwater, going with that option, maybe we won't be able to do it this year, but we do it next year. We allocate funds for that. Rick will do the magic and play with the available funds from maybe capital improvement, transportation, to gather the funds and maybe do this project in a more comprehensive way. Oh, can you go next, Linda? I forgot about my slides. So the yellow part is the area where it doesn't have curb and gutter. And that's the area where we will have to do the full road reconstruction. And then the orange on the north side, we'll just do a mill and overlay because there's already curb and gutter there. Questions?
Let's do it right.
That's,
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I mean, this has been a problem for these residents for some time. And I don't want to kick the can down the road too far, but I think it's evident that we need to do the engineering and do it right. To just halfway do it, is not right. So yeah. Let's get the engineering and let's figure out exactly what, I think you said, really look at everything, right? Look at the driveways, look at elevation, look at
Yeah.
the road,
And the water.
Yeah.
Chuck,
100%.
what's it do to Summit? Does Summit have stormwater in it?
Yeah.
They don't have any issues on those, I mean,
They got curb and gutter.
Yeah.
so they don't have the same issue.
And
Yeah.
some people have sandbags.
Yeah, in front of their garage. Yep,
Yeah.
I'm aware.
Can get really bad.
Mayor, if I may, just the progress towards doing this is gonna build some goodwill versus going in and tearing things up and then not fixing the problem. So,
Oh yeah, we can't do it wrong.
Yes, with this being said, Cedar Lake was for 27. We'll see if we can still do it in 27 or in 28. Okay. Yep. Thanks.
you know, the
Joyful.
analogy, one bite at elephant at a time.
No, this one, we're just gonna take down the whole herd. This is no one bite at a time on this one. We're dripping out the whole street, right, Chuck? We're dropping it a foot, so.
This will be another fourth and fourth terrace, and the residents are gonna have to be patient, and they're gonna have to work with us, because there will be no road.
It's gonna be fix the flow, will fix every issue
Yeah.
and just make it concrete the last 300 years and we don't have to worry about it, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Awesome. Chuck, is yours next? Also, or is this it? That's it?
That's
No,
it.
no, you have no wrap up? You're just leaving it with Myra? All right. Thought he's gonna ask for even more money. No. If you haven't been up Dundee, just go drive it and you'll see what the problem is. At the very end of that yellow line, on the bottom of that is where the buses used to be parked, and it's about a 20-foot hill, 30-foot hill, something like that. And water drops down that pretty quick. Okie dokie. Well, with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the work session.
Thank you. To have a second? All those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Stand adjourned. See you at 7.